It was a cloudy day on the island of Sodor. Thomas and Percy were sad. The sky was gray, and they would worry about that it was going to start to rain. But the other engines wouldn't take much notice with these two engines. "It's not fair," Thomas said sadly. "I wanted to take some passengers to the seaside, but I can't 'cause it's going to rain. And the mail train got canceled because of the storm," said Percy. "What will I do now?" In the moment, Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "Don't be sad, Percy," said Sir Topham Hatt. "I've got a special job for you. You are gonna go to Mr. Jolly's chocolate factory and collect the chocolate cake and take it to Croven's Gate where there's a party happening." This time, Percy was smiling. "Thank you, sir," he said proudly. Soon, Percy set off to Mr. Jolly's chocolate factory. When Percy arrived at Mr. Jolly's chocolate factory, the chocolate cakes were loaded into his vans, and Percy set off to Croven's Gate. Soon, Percy arrived at Harold's airfield. Percy decided to talk to Harold. "I'm sorry, Percy. Can't talk right now. There's gonna be bad weather along the way." "Why?" puzzled Percy. "I'm always on rescue," said Harold. "Must fly. Goodbye." Percy was disappointed, so then he continued down the line. Soon, Percy had stopped at Sunnyvale, where Edward, the blue engine, was taking on passengers. "The bridge to Croven's Gate is very risky," said Edward. "But be careful, Percy. You might have an accident." "Don't worry, Edward," said Percy. "I'm worried about storms." "So do I," said Edward. "It's not safe to cross bridges in this kind of weather." But Percy didn't care about Edward's advice, so he puffed away. Meanwhile, Harold was looking down on the viaduct when Percy puffed by with some chocolate factory vans. "Be brave, Percy," said his driver. "We're gonna cross to the other side." Harold was worried. He would know what was the matter. But soon Percy reached the viaduct on the other side just in time. Soon Percy had reached the old bridge. Suddenly, Percy stopped. "Percy, why did we stop?" asked his driver. "I don't know," said Percy nervously. "It doesn't look safe to me." "Now's your chance, Percy," said his driver. "If the bridge collapses, we'll be over." Soon Percy started to cross the bridge when the track snapped. Suddenly, the bridge collapsed. "Help!" shouted Percy. The vans of chocolate cakes were stranded. Harold the helicopter heard the noise, and he flew off to the rescue. "I'm coming, Percy!" called Harold. Harold also noticed that Percy's train was still on the side. As Percy floated helplessly in the river, there was a sign ahead. "Look out for the waterfall." "If I go over that waterfall, I'll be forgotten," Percy said bravely. Then, The rescue operation arrived. "We're gonna drop the rope to you," said Harold. "Attach it to Percy's buffer, quickly!" In the moment, Percy's driver catched the rope. The boat turned round, and the boat's driver caught the rope. "We're gonna pull you back to dry land," said the boat's driver. Suddenly, Percy realized he was being pulled backwards. Meanwhile, Harvey saw the commotion. Harold landed on some rocks. "Is that Percy?" asked Harvey. Suddenly, Percy now realized that he was late for the party. "Now, Harvey," said the boat's driver, "please lift Percy to safety." "Will do," said Harvey. So the boat's driver released the rope, and Harvey began to pull. Harvey started to reverse. Percy was nervous when, he shouted. Soon, Harvey pulled him and Percy was safe at last. "Thank you, Harvey," Percy said exhaustedly. "It's not my fault. I should have listened to Edward properly." "I'm sorry that you were floated away," said Harvey. Even Sir Topham Hatt was impressed. "I was in Harvey's cab and I saw everything," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Percy was brave, sir," said Harvey. "I just heard the news, so I rushed over." "I am proud of you, Percy," said Sir Topham Hatt, "that you were brave while crossing the bridge." "Thank you, sir," said Percy. Percy was glad to be back on the rails again, and he'll be braver next time.